on this computer, then I know they're separate. Okay. So let me figure out how to use my computer again. Okay. So quick agenda. I'm gonna try to not take up like all afternoon. I know it's Sunday and people are like, I want to relax. So I only have a couple bullet points to go through. One is kind of like a description of VBS, just so everyone's kind of on the same page. I know they look a little different depending on your background. Then like the format and schedule of our specific version of this, and then go through like volunteer roles and like what the needs are, like what the openings are. And then finally, like with the Delta variant, like running amok, like what are our COVID-19 safety measures, especially because we're going to have kids and like if you're under 12, you can't get vaccinated yet. So there's going to be like this population that's always going to be like, we can't do anything. So we need to like think of them too.
Yeah.
So description of VBS. So VBS is, I skipped. VBS is Vacation Bible School in this context. And typically, I didn't realize this, but it totally makes sense that like the vacation part is like, it's the summer months. I was always like the second bullet, which was I'm giving my parents a vacation because they're like, take care, drop them off. But ours is open to the whole family. It's kid oriented, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a kid to like participate, either like as a volunteer or like as a student. So it's really like this whole like during summer, not revival, because that's a little too evangelical than what I mean, but like just this like returning back to church. You've been like doing your normal vacation, and like some of our grand reopening ads are saying it's like the hot girl summer is over, hot back summer is over, come back to church, and we're gonna kind of like re-ground ourselves. Specifically what makes VBS like special to me is that it's like it's not just like your typical Sunday worship. It's like a couple days, usually during the work week or the weekdays. So you get out of the like routine of like, oh, Sunday is the only day for worship, and it becomes this like, let me take this special time to disrupt that rhythm and then do these other activities that aren't necessarily like quote unquote church worship. So it's like, yes, we'll have songs, but we also do like games and crafts and like a mission thing. And so it's like this like disruptive like way of doing church again that's like super fun. Usually they have a theme, and so like all the songs and all the like Bible stories and everything like goes to this theme. Ours is our I Wonder, and we're taking this from Grow curriculum. I really like them because they like really try to give a lot of resources for volunteers. Like it's like off the shelf, but they have like so much stuff, like all the crafts and the curriculum and the lesson plans and like the shopping. Like it's all pretty much done. So it's really easy for us, considering this is our first in-person VBS. We did like a virtual one last year, and me and Leah had written like the entire curriculum and did it all from scratch. I mean, we partnered with Cultivating Families, but this year it's like, let's make sure that we are doing something super fun because we're coming back to church and we're like kicking it off again. So I wonder, I like, because it is also like helping us get into these big idea questions. And so these big idea questions are not just our theme for the week, but it's also like goals that we have as a church, which I'll get to in a minute. But like for 4 days, we're going to be asking each of these questions. Like, I wonder how I can spend time with God. And you'll notice they all have like that same I wonder ... kind of format. I wonder how I can spend time with God. I wonder what I can learn from others. I wonder what gifts God gave me. And I wonder what makes my story unique. And I love these questions because it like, there's like prompts almost for encouraging our kids to talk about their faith and to feel comfortable asking questions. In my background, that wasn't ever it was a thing. Like you could ask questions, but they had to be the right questions, you know? And this is like, well, it's not about quote unquote doctrine or dogma. It's about like, can we feel comfortable like living into our faith? Or do we feel like our faith is something that we own, or is it something we're borrowing because it's like this tradition? Like, is this ours? And do we feel like we want to continue leaning on faith like as adults? It's not like this thing that you rebel against because you made it your own, right? So.
Yeah.
Um, and so how do we evaluate that we've done the goal that we set out to do? There's this handy little acronym that's goals, GOALS. And the first is like, let's think about God. How do the students talk about God? And what does God have to do with their daily life? It's not just this like concept that I hear about on Sundays, but it's like this thing that I actually like care about and have thought about. And like God isn't just like this word. It's like, because people have different concepts of God. Like I have some Buddhist friends or like some Hindu friends, and like we all use the word God, but it means different things to different people. So what does that mean to us? And there's no right or wrong answer. I just like want to be able to have an answer, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then outreach. We also want to use this as an opportunity to like signal to the community, like Spring Branch as well as the greater Houston, that like we are open to families and we like want anybody to come. So how many families in our own congregation who were like, oh, I didn't realize we had children's church. Well, this is our kickoff for children's church. Or like people in the community, like, I didn't know you had children's church. We want to come see. So how many people and families are we reaching with VBS? Excuse me. Adventure. This is the fun part of VBS. This is the fun part. Like how are we, the activities and the crafts and the songs, how does all of that work to like get those big ideas across and to help them like be able to communicate and like understand? So this is where like your different type of learning, like kinesthetic learning or auditory learning or like visual learning, like how does a craft help with like kinesthetic? How does like games help with that? How do like auditory and songs, like I love the adventure because it's like it's about accommodating different types of learning. Um, and then it gets us into learn. Like, can we, at the end of the day, are we meeting our goal of you're able to talk about God by putting it in your own language, not just like repeating the memory verse, although that's important as like a stepping stone. That's not the point. The point is like I can take what Grow curriculum, put in its own language, and make it something that like makes sense to me, however age I am. And finally, serving. So we do at St. Peter the hashtag serve. This is kind of like making sure that kids are also part of hashtag serve. It's not just like the adults. Once you have like money and you fundraise, it's like at all ages, you have gifts that can be used to serve your community. And this is how we like show that we are the beloved community, or some might use the kingdom of God, but like that we are like there's a song, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Like how do people know that we are who we say we are?
Yeah.
Format and schedule. So that's all kind of like high level stuff for like VBS generally, but what does it mean for us? What are we going to be doing for 4 days? Like, why are y'all here? So format and schedule. Our VBS this year, 2021, is going to be from Thursday, August 5th to Sunday, August 8th. So it's the first weekend of August. From 5 volunteers are going to arrive at 5:30, so we can do setup. The kids aren't going to arrive until about 7. And then we're going to go until 9. So it's 2 hours of like active programming, 1 hour of setup, and then a 30-minute volunteer meeting right before registration. And so it's going to be evenings, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5:30 to 9. And then on Sunday, it's going to be during church. So we're going to get there still an hour early before 10 a.m. service, just to like set up, because it's going to be kind of a short session. It's only going to be during the time of worship where a pastor is preaching. So it's like, well, how do we collapse all of that 2 hour programming into like 30 minutes? So we have an hour set up, and then we get to worship that day. So we'll be able to go with your family, like as normal at 10 a.m., go worship, sing with the choir if you'd like to. And then once pastor starts the sermon, he'll just, all the kids will stand up and we'll march over to the fellowship hall. And then we'll start the Bible lesson and our activity for that day.
Okay.
So where are the areas and well, take a step back. VBS is really like known by its stations. So there's like a bunch of different things going on as we were talking about, like the different modes of learning, like auditory, visual, all that stuff, all the different parts. So they're going to happen in different rooms. Part of this is just the fun of moving around. Part of it is also just like COVID, which I'll get to. So we're all going to be in the fellowship hall. It's going to be kind of the kids' space. The check-in and registration is going to happen in that front blue, powder blue room. I've heard it called the historical room because of all the pictures on the wall. I've also heard it called the council room. But it's that first room when you enter the fellowship hall from the breezeway. That's where we're going to do registration. That's the only thing that's happening in there. Then from there, worship is going to happen on the stage. So we're going to take over the stage. We're going to project the opening videos as well onto the stage. So that's really going to be like live at SPU is then we're going to do like the projector and the video and the worship. We'll also remind me about the performance station. This is something I'm kind of excited about, and I think the kids are excited about too, is like this American Idol style competition. And we're going to kick it off as like a way of expressing yourself. We're going to do snacks every day at the tables, well, every day but Sunday, at the tables in the fellowship hall. So we'll have like the front will be the stage, and then in the middle, they'll do snack time. And then in the back, they'll do activities, usually crafts. If we do games, depending on weather, I'm going to try to do that outside, either on the breezeway or in the parking lot. So there's one day where we're going to do missions. That's going to be on Saturday, and we'll do the youth will do the Bible lesson in there because we'll all do Bible lesson at the same time, and each group will need their own like quiet space. Yeah. But usually the Bible lesson is going to happen in the new blue classroom at the back of the fellowship hall. It used to be the bridal suite. So here are all the things we're going to be doing. So it's worship. Your activities are going to be the crafts, games, performance. There's going to be a snack and Bible lesson. So we got a lot to fit into 2 hours. Typical day. So at 5:30, like I said, 5:30 to 6:30, we're going to arrive and we're going to start doing the prep work. So it's either making the sandwiches or the snack, if that's your volunteer area, or it's like setting up the craft and like setting out stickers and glue and all the like stuff to make sure it's ready, or it's maybe going outside and setting like an obstacle course or something. But we just want to make sure we have enough time so that like once the kids start arriving, it's like like there's no time. So yeah. We're gonna arrive a little bit early to do that. If you like have work or something, or like a reason you can't be there at 5:30, please let me know in advance, so that we can make sure that we can get either someone else to be there, or we can like schedule our time to accommodate that. I will have my contact info at the end of this, so don't let me forget. We're gonna do a volunteer meeting each day from 6:30 to about 6:45. And that's just so like each day we know what we're doing that day. We're gonna do trainings in advance, but this is kind of like a last check, like, oh, maybe this classroom has moved, or maybe we're gonna use the games like on the breezeway, or maybe we're gonna be in the front by the centennial tree, like just as a last check, and then any questions you may have. Maybe we ran out of supplies or something. And then at 6:45 is kind of when the official VBS starts. So the kids will start arriving. Let your friends know if anyone wants to like be a student for VBS. 6:45 is when they'll start coming in. They'll check in at 7. 7 is when we kick off. We'll start the opening video. That'll be kind of like the welcome bell, but like, hey, everybody, attention to the stage, like come to the stage. There'll be a nice 5-minute video that kind of expresses the big idea and is a little funny. It's kind of like a palate cleanser. And then we'll officially introduce the big idea and then start opening prayer, and that'll lead us into worship. We got tons of songs. There's even a Spotify playlist that we can use. So if you like want to get jazzed, definitely listen to the worship song. I warn you, I posted earlier this week, but these VBS songs are so catchy, you'll be singing them forever. So that's typical day. And then at 7:30, we're going to break out into our stations. So the Bible lesson, the activity, snack, and performance. Each group, have I gone into groups yet? So we are breaking out all the kids instead of just like one massive group that moves between the stations. We're going to have them broken up by age group. So, excuse me, we'll have the pre-readers, which is anyone from potty trained to about 6 years old. They'll be in one group, and I think their color is, I signed in colors, orange. They're the orange color. So there'll also be a area in front of the stage that's the orange group area where they'll stand and have to be together. The next group is anyone from 7 to 12. This is like the kids who can't yet get vaccinated but are older than like the pre-readers. Like they can understand different, they're just older. They are a color, probably green, but they'll have their own area too in front of the stage that'll be distanced from the pre-readers. And then finally, we have youth that's 13 to 17, because I'm hoping at 18, you become a volunteer. So they'll be in another group during the stage, and they'll be purple. I think their color is purple. But each of these groups will move in their stations independently. So while the pre-readers are at snack time, the youth will be like at games. And then at the same time, the pre-vax, as I'm calling them, that middle group, will be at Bible lesson. So everyone's kind of moving and you're not really seeing one another to keep like some social distancing. And also because there's no reason to have like rowdy 15-year-olds, like 7-year-olds. So you'll be in your station for about 20 minutes each. If you are volunteering for a station, you will be there for that entire hour. You'll be kind of like the facilitator for that area. But if you are a group's chaperone, you'll move with your group. So if you're like, oh, I want to just like watch the pre-readers, you'll just follow them between each of their stations. And you'll also watch them during stage time. You'll kind of be their shepherd for the whole VBS experience.
Okay.
And then at 8:50, we'll round everybody back up again. We'll do announcements for the next day. We'll do like a quick decompression, and then we will do closing prayer. And then at 9, parents will arrive for pickup. And if you're still there, it's time for cleanup. Now, every group should be cleaning up as part of their station, but we need to do a final cleanup just to make sure that we're not like completely destroying the fellowship hall every day. So there'll also be a final cleanup at 9. And that also keeps their hands busy while they're waiting for their parent. It's like, you need to clean. So I mentioned Saturday is going to be mission. Mission is a way, usually I've seen some VBSs will do it like mission trip kind of thing, like you're helping foreign efforts like overseas, or like building a well in Africa, or like pen pals to like kids. For us this year, I really want us to be like connected to our community. So kind of like how we do our, like I said before, how we do our serve in adult church. That's usually stuff like in our community or like organizations in city that we partner with. So last year was cultivating families. This year we're going to focus on Senegas Heights Village. It's also a great time because we're also doing the backpack drive. So the kids might not be thinking about getting back to school supplies. So how do we get them plugged into that same idea, which is like preparing Senegas Heights Village kids for back to school? How can we as kids help them? So that will be our mission trip on Saturday. We'll be thinking through it and then asking kids to use their gifts for that purpose. Probably packing backpacks, but I'm like totally open. Like I really want our kids to be comfortable expressing themselves. So that's mission. Finally, performance is a station each day. And this is, so one of our kids, Marcus, goes by Mars, was really love singing, and has done some of the youth, what do we call it? Not takeover, but youth Sundays. And so he'll like sing and do a solo for that. And so during the pandemic, he shot a music video for Cover Me in Sunshine by Pink. He and Danny did that. And then his brother, Jonathan Dede, was like, I want to do something like this too. And so they were like, well, we should have like a American Idol competition kind of thing. And so we were like, yeah, let's totally like kick that off and like invite all of the kids to be part of that. Like if you want to sing a song, definitely like we'll spend a little bit each day like choosing their song and like rehearsing it, kind of just like letting them have some creative time. And so that'll be about 20 minutes each day. And then at the end of the week, we'll have like the kickoff or the competition. And so we'll have the talent show. And there will be like the volunteers will do the judging, and there'll be prizes available. And it'll be just kind of this like thing.
Okay.
Next slide, please. Okay, the moment you've been waiting for, like, well, what am I gonna do during this? So there are a couple needs, and I've split them up on these two slides between like what can only adults do, like you have to be 18 plus, and because you have to be alone with kids, maybe. And that is the Bible lesson teacher. Well, the group chaperone will be in there because of Safe Church, but like it just needs a room that's led by an adult. So that'll be the snack chefs. We need 2 to 3 of those. We need 1 activity facilitator. We need 1 for games. Technically, they're on different days. So the games person could also do crafts the next day. But if you're like, oh, I only want to do games, if you could find someone who's like, oh, I only want to do crafts, that'd be super helpful. And then the next is for folks who can either youth can also do this, or adults. And that's the group chaperone. So if you're going to follow a group around each day, like, oh, I'm pre-reader assigned, so I'll follow them from worship to like snacks to activities, and then finally back to worship or back to close. I need 1 for each age group. And then the check-in registrar. So at the beginning of the day, 6:45 to 7, who's going to be like checking in folks who are already registered, and who's going to help new people register. If they're like, oh, I had a great time on Thursday, I want to bring all my friends. And it's like, we got to figure out how to register you. So maybe 2 helpers would be great. And then finally, music team, like kind of kicking off our youth choir. So you don't necessarily have to be a kid or youth, or if you just like you have choir experience, if you want to like lead us in the songs and through the motions and all of that, that's music team. And there are videos for both of those, but it's always super helpful to be able to break down the really fast motions, because it's like they're never slow enough. I need repetition. So COVID-19, we're still in the midst of a global pandemic. A lot of us have been vaccinated. I'm actually requiring that adult volunteers are vaccinated, and you should have had, so you can build up immunity for VBSs in like 10 days from now. You need 14 days to be fully immunized. So you should have had your second shot by July 22nd. Yeah. And that's Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J, as long as you've had it by July 22nd. Mask must be worn at all times on the fellowship hall. Now, we know that if you have the vaccine, you're good, you're protected from serious COVID. However, because some of our kids can't be vaccinated, we need to encourage them to follow correct behaviors. So instead of running into, well, this person isn't doing that, or this person isn't doing that, and going through everyone's vaccination history, we're just gonna model good behavior, and everyone has to wear a mask while we're in the youth space, which is the fellowship hall. So if you step in the building, mask. The next point is like generally good practice is then especially important for COVID now, is like just, there are very few good reasons to have to touch a student, like ever. And even if you give like side hugs in a non-COVID space, we always want to ask like consent and like allow kids to have some autonomy over their bodies.
Yeah.
But it's okay to like offer a chicken wing arm bump as a greeting this year. We don't really want to do any hugs because, again, of the vaccination status. And then just general good practice, this could be like a, hey, I'm not fully putting my hands on you, here's an arm bump. And that's also in line with our Safe Church policy. And if you want to read that, which I super encourage you to, because everyone's held to the Safe Church policy, it's under, oh, I should share. Can you see the chat? I need to share this volunteer guide. No, go back. So this here, and it's also on the Facebook event. I like shared it in the discussion.
Okay.
But it runs through, it's kind of all the important information I ran through today, because I'm gonna have to go through a lot. But it's like the times for volunteer shifts, the different groups, The daily volunteer openings are on this link. And then the volunteer roles, so you can recruit. And also the daily schedule. This is this is our daily schedule. Wait, can you see my screen?
I can see the thing that we had before for volunteers, but nothing else.
Ooh, new share. This would be much more helpful. So it should have like a banner at the top that says VBS Volunteer Guide.
Okay. It says VBS Volunteer Guide.
Okay, perfect. You see like the VBS dates, the groups, the daily schedule.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I shared in the chat the link to this, but I can also like Facebook Messenger it to you if you want.
Yes.
Okay, let me do that now pretty quick so I don't forget. VBS Volunteer Guide. Copy link. And Messenger. Thanks. There you go. And it also has just the student covenant expectations. Just make that clear, because I feel like covenant is a very UCC word. Like, if you're not UCC, you're like, that's a strange thing to put there. So I'll just make that clear. But like, this is for students and everybody. Like, we will be courteous and nice. We will stay with our assigned groups. We'll clean up after ourselves, and we won't use our phones and tablets during VBS. And then I have the COVID safety guidelines on here. And then finally the resources. So if you want to share the Facebook event, if you want to share where you register for VBS, send that to friends. There's also a QR code if you print this out. Remind me about the volunteer application so I know like what role you want to do and everything. And so I have like phone number and like contact details. There's also, so you'll realize today I don't have enough time to go through all of the specific role training. So when you let me know what role you want to do, then I'll follow up and be like, all right, so if you want to do registration, this is how to use our registration software. If you want to like do hospitality and make snacks, well, these are how many kids we're going to have. These are the snack ideas we're thinking. This is the ingredients. Like, we'll go through the actual stuff. Today is more about like, what is this VBS thing? What do you need?
Yeah.
So that's new share again. So that's that. I just discussed a little bit ago the COVID precautions for volunteers. Now, what are we doing for the kids? So prior to arrival on registration, when they register, they have to indicate their age and vaccination status for each kid. And then also there are questions for the household, like if they have siblings, or for their parents, like were there any exposures in the house? So that we kind of have like a picture before they even arrive. But then regardless of that, everyone's gonna have to wear a mask. Like, even if it's like, oh, I've been vaccinated and no one's been exposed, still gotta wear a mask. Like, we just wanna model good behavior. And then those ages will also help us split out the groups. And again, like, just to make sure that we are contact tracing, kids must stay with their assigned group at all times. Also part of that is we gotta, so if you are like crafts table, for instance, you're the volunteer facilitator for crafts table, we want to sanitize the station after each group. So if they're going to be there 20 minutes, then the next group comes, you have a couple minutes to like wipe down everything, make sure that it's sanitized. You'll have wipes and hand sanitizer. So when the kids come in, pump, when they leave, pump, and then we'll wipe down after. During their cleanup time, like as they're finishing up the activity, you can follow behind them and sanitize so that you have enough time to get through. I also have it staggered. So if we go to Let me do a new share. So I'll have enough time for like the vulnerable groups. So for the pre-readers, the young kids, and for the middle pre-vax groups, I have all of their stuff staggered so that like you'll be able to clean up, like the activity room won't be used between groups. So if you have the pre-vax kids in there, then you'll have 20 minutes to like fully clean up before the little kids come in.
Okay.
New share. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, do you see 4 volunteers again?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Okay, so I just ran through a ton of information super fast. Do you have any questions?
Not at the moment. I'm sure some will come to me.
Okay, for sure. And like, you have my Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
Message me whenever. If you could fill out this Google form, just so I know like what role you want to do, that'd be super helpful. And then on the volunteer guide that I just shared with you, it has the Facebook event. And I think you're also, did you like or say respond going to the Facebook event?
No.
Okay.
I did say interested.
Okay. Well, I mean, just if you could share that with like friends, like if someone's like, hey, I want to send my kid to VBS, you can point them to that page. And then that's how we're going to get the word out.
Okay.
So the Google form, I'm going to send to you. Boom, boom, boom. Follow link. Copy. Okay. This should be the thing. Should be like VBS volunteer application.
Okay.
You see it?
I'm not sure how to get to Messenger and like do this all at the same time.
Oh, no, my bad. No, you're good. So later after this, if you didn't get it, just send me a message and I'll resend.
Okay.
So that's all I have today. You get your afternoon back.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming today and like entertaining me and like taking in a lot of information.
Yeah.
Well, hope to see you real soon. Once I hear back from you, I'll like, well, either way, if you haven't heard from me by like Tuesday, a wormhole's opened in the universe, because whether I get your application or if I don't have it, I'm gonna reach out because I'm gonna be like, hey, I need to know.
Okay.
Well, that's everything. Be good and I'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye, Carly.